Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sofigate's Knowledge in a Nutshell webinar. We have still people joining, so we will get started in about a minute, but already welcome. So some practicalities throughout the webinar. You are welcome to post questions, comments to chat or Q&A, and we will be picking up questions, comments from the chat throughout the webinar. So at any point, just write your thoughts or questions there. We will have 1 hour of packed content from 1 week of events, so it's going to be quite squeezed, but if you have any detailed questions, we can then also take them offline and have a more like a deep dive on any of those topics with you, of course. So we already have a good amount of people in, so let's start the webinar. So welcome. We will be now covering the Knowledge 24 event in a nutshell throughout this 1 hour. And my name is Juha Kujala. I will be hosting this webinar today with Juho, Nevalainen and Helene Claesson. My background is I'm a knowledge veteran. I've been there since 2013, missed only one of these knowledge events ever since. But Juho and Helene, I think you have a different background.
Yeah, I come from completely different background. I was the knowledge newbie this year, so first time joining, and yeah, that was interesting to see from that angle.
Yeah, it was also the first time for me. I've been wanting to go for years, but this was the first year I had the opportunity to go, so I was super excited, and yeah, hope to share some good tidbits and news with you guys.
And we had a large team from Sofigate from all our countries, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway covered, but also a lot of customers. I think altogether we were about 40 customers and partners from Nordics traveling there together and also getting inspired with the content. And actually with the Nordic network, we started the event 1 day before. So Juho, maybe you would like to brief us what happened on Monday, the day 0 of the event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we had our own little pre-conference event hosted by Sofigate, and basically the idea was there to talk about AI, obviously, because that's the hot topic, and it was the hot topic throughout the event, obviously. But we, together with Juha, we demonstrated how to do actually AI assisted business development or business capability development, and also how to really utilize in practice the functionalities of AI that are built in ServiceNow and other platforms. So this AI Living Lab is a session that we have been hosting for how many times? 40, 30 times throughout the last months for business executives and management teams and so on. And obviously we are doing that continuously. If you have interest in organizing such a session, that's possible, and actually it's free of charge even. But that's something that we did before starting the event, and I guess that was well received and with good feedback.
Yeah, and I think just to highlight, big part of ServiceNow's knowledge event is the networking, also talking and learning from the peers what they are doing around ServiceNow and the latest features of ServiceNow. So that was even before the event, but let's go through the highlights of the knowledge day by day. So 3 days packed content, and let's start from the day 1. So the first keynote is always done by the CEO, Bill McDermott, and this is really about positioning ServiceNow. What is ServiceNow today? And the statement from him is now that ServiceNow is the AI platform for business transformation, and not just some specific type of business transformation, but actually transforming every corner of your business. So ServiceNow as a platform is relevant to every department, every corner of the business, and they are infusing, that's the word they use, infuse AI into any workflow. There are some really big numbers on this slide. 23 billion workflows automated last year, huge numbers of customers and users globally. It's still one platform, and now the role of AI is getting even stronger. Of course, workflow is at the very center of ServiceNow, but also the intelligence everywhere is now at the center. So what does the AI platform for business transformation mean? ServiceNow's position clearly is to provide consistent, excellent experience layer. Whatever the channel, portal, mobile app, even voice, chatbot, we will see some examples, for example, how Copilot and ServiceNow work together later on. But that's the idea, that we bring excellent experience layer and intelligence workflows, but also now AI in many different ways to then make sense and provide consistent experience out of the various systems in the background. And very practical example of this that was introduced actually in the first keynote is, for example, the Gen AI-based AI search, where we can connect to a SharePoint, and when then searching anything on ServiceNow portal, the results will be covering not just the ServiceNow content, knowledge base, tickets, etc., but also SharePoint documents. It can be also Confluence content. And even if this would be in practice a long PDF document stored on SharePoint, what the end user gets is actually the answer to their question in a human language, exactly the point that they are asking, not just the whole document. Of course, they can refer to the source, but the idea is that we provide this experience layer that simplifies it for the user, even if the information is somewhere in the backend systems, quite difficult to reach. So ServiceNow is now the AI engine that can provide intelligence through these general purpose models like ChatGPT, but also ServiceNow is having strong focus on developing their own domain-specific models that do very well summarization of incidents, or very well supports CMDB-related use cases, or any other domain-specific use cases. ServiceNow is open here, so they can also enable you to bring your own models. And of course, there's already a lot of machine learning and other AI capabilities, even before Gen AI came to the platform. And very interesting part that I will come back to at the end of today's presentation is this AI and data security governance, the control tower for using AI in a responsible and ethical way. Bill McDermott in this keynote also provided his sort of 10 commandments. I will highlight just a few. So number one, Now Assist, that's the ServiceNow's Gen AI brand, and that's now coming to eventually all the products. There's a lot of products already that have the Now Assist Gen AI capabilities, but that's the big thing. And really, what's the unique thing about it is the time to value. It's very quick to activate. It's these domain-specific models that are enabling it to provide really good and quick time to value without hiring data scientists and building your own models. You can get the AI to supercharge your productivity. Second thing is then this multi-year roadmaps, number 7. I think even if the technical solution is there, time to value is short, you need to think it as a business transformation. So to transform every corner of your business, you need a multi-year roadmap. You need a big plan how to do this. And there are, of course, dependencies. There's always adoption required as well. But the number 10, uncover and modernize every business process. That's really the ServiceNow target now. And these Gen AI capabilities, but also the industry solutions overall, they are really now going to all parts of any business. In the keynotes, very interesting topic is always the customer cases, and one of the most interesting ones I heard was the NHL. They started with ITSM, implemented that in 55 days, but as they understood the power of the platform, they actually quite quickly then expanded to arena operations. So when there's an NHL game about to start, every arena has a playbook. They need to go through and check the cameras, check the pucks, check many different things, and they are centrally monitoring that all the arenas are ready for the games, the video streams, and whatever needs to happen there, everything is okay. And of course, if there would be any exceptions, then handling of those. So the whole NHL arena operations run by ServiceNow, and now they are expanding it to fan operations, so customer-facing services as well. A very interesting case where I think an interesting detail was that since even the pucks are computers today, they actually store those in CMDB. So the pucks are there. Wonder what it looks like, but that's one of the use cases for NHL. When we talk about AI, it's all based on solid data foundation, and this is now how they visualize it. So CMDB at the core when we talk about technical configuration items, but the service graph then connecting CMDB to your business services, technical services, the responsibilities, the service map and all that, how we also digest the data from different other sources. But something new that Juho will demonstrate a little later with the practical use case is the knowledge graph. So not just how service is built, but actually what do we know about these specific user, their services, their integrations, their usage. And that's really now an extension to the data foundation that makes the AI also very highly personalized. So let's get into the knowledge graph a little later, but if we just look at what's coming to this, like different use cases from Gen AI, very interesting new capabilities, for example, for CMDB, where now the Now Assist can guide you through different CMDB activities, like maybe you find that there's actually duplicate records. ServiceNow Gen AI can guide you through cleaning activities and suggest what to do. Maybe you need to clean some relationships or do you use the correct relationships. With simple chat, with the Now Assist, you can get guidance on how to model this in the right way. Similarly, for asset management, the Gen AI that is already now available actually can guide you through different opportunities to optimize your asset usage, maybe align the contracts better to your business needs or whatever that might be. It's guiding you through to make the right choices, right decisions in optimizing your asset landscape. So it's really getting infused into all of these products. One of the most interesting parts I heard was the strategic portfolio management. Already now, the Now Assist can, for example, summarize ideas, feedback, synthesize the demand, meaning identify where they are maybe overlapping demands, what is the summary of a demand, etc. But this is something now available. I think most interesting was when ServiceNow talked about how they use ServiceNow's Now Assist for strategic portfolio management. And of course, they use it with capabilities that are not yet available for customers, but something that probably will be available for customers quite soon. And they actually use it all the way from building the backlog, writing stories, epics, features, analyzing the feedback from the customers. But also a very interesting use case was anytime status. So why do we generate weekly status reports? Why don't we have a virtual agent that I can anytime go and ask, where is this project? What's happening with this agile team? And it can then provide personalized answers depending on what's my interest. If I'm interested in the financials or quality or timeline, then it can provide that right status from real-time data without anyone actually creating a weekly report. Also, generation of other project documents, training materials, product documentation, they actually use Gen AI quite extensively. And of course, it's still, since it's ServiceNow internal, it's a bit of experimental thing, but the results seem to be really interesting. And I'm sure that this strategic portfolio management will change a lot when we get the Now Assist support there. So a lot of things about Now Assist and Gen AI support for many different products. There's also other things, of course. So collaborative work management, really interesting new capability for strategic portfolio management, but overall where you can have just one backlog of your tasks. Whether you are part of development operations or anything else, you have one backlog of your tasks. And also it's a collaborative space where you can write notes, tag people, refer to the records, work on the prioritization. So a new workspace to collaborate on any kind of work you have running on ServiceNow. What were your highlights, Helene and Juha?
Yeah, well, maybe I would add a couple of things. Obviously, you know, the whole event is full of sessions and full of demos and full of customer cases and whatnot. So impossible even to see even a half of it. But obviously the development roadmaps for different ServiceNow products is interesting because they get quite into details in many areas. I think this year the ESG was obviously an interesting part because of the compliance regulations coming up in many companies, and that's what we are working at Sofigate as well, how to offer ESG services for our customers based on ServiceNow and this ESG model. So obviously that was interesting, and a lot of things happening there, AIs coming there, and a lot of integrations, etc. Then a little bit from the different angle, not so technical maybe, but I was at least participating in one of the sessions where they actually talked about a study that ServiceNow had done with their partner related to future roles and future jobs and future kind of work in general, and how AI is going to impact that, and you know, this topic that has been in the discussions for a long time, and yeah, it was interesting study as such, and I guess it's available online as well. But one thing that I would maybe highlight is that they of course were very confident that ServiceNow expertise is highly in demand in the future as well, and that's for granted. AI is not going to take these jobs away, and there's going to be even more demand for ServiceNow in expertise. But obviously there are also roles that are more impacted, and maybe there are a lot of kind of re-education needs and competence need to be changed into something else, and so on. So it was very interesting and inspiring session on that sense.
Yeah, and I also have a highlight from the first day, and all the technical stuff was super interesting, but I went on one session with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Services in the US, and they were talking about how they would make some rapid changes in HR with the implementing ServiceNow, and presented how they've done this. And one quote stood out from that session, and it was this: "Don't buy a new multi-million-dollar technology to do what you're doing today. Use the technology as designed." And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, all the tech and all the new things is really interesting, but it's really all about transformation, changing the way that people work, and being open to doing things in a different way. So I thought that was also interesting that those sort of things came up in some of the sessions. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that. I think that can be, you know, that can resonate with a lot of us that use ServiceNow as well, that, you know, should we keep doing things the same way always, or maybe we need to rethink things.
Yeah, but in general, what comes to the keynote stuff, I liked the fact that they were very much business-centric. They started off with everything from business angle, business use cases, business processes. So clearly, ServiceNow, in their speech, they are heavily going from the ITSM into the business side, which I think is a very, very good message.
Yeah.
Very good highlights. Thank you. Let's move on to day 2. This was only the day 1 highlight. So, Juho, what was the highlight of the keynote of day 2?
Yeah, let's go into that. So this was an interesting one in many areas. So it was presented by CJ Desai, the ServiceNow COO. Very inspiring speaker as such, but it was even better as they also had a bit of video commentary from Microsoft CEO, and then as a guest speaker there was also the president and CEO founder of NVIDIA. So I would say that on stage they had a lot of powerful people at the same time. So some customer was also commenting that there are the people who really rule the world at the moment when it comes to AI. So that was nice one. Some highlights which I have a little bit more slides later on, but yeah, they of course went deeper with the same story. Every AI is coming to every corner of the business, and they introduced. The ServiceNow CTO introduced some kind of technical improvements for the infrastructure and architecture, basically faster, scalable, more secure. That was the thing. Without going into details here, and then obviously the roadmaps as such that the platform is getting to major releases a year, but then when it comes to AI, it's completely different story. It's even on a monthly basis that they are introducing new features and updates. What you have mentioned already was the Copilot Now assisting. That was one thing, and then knowledge graphs and our own AIs and stuff. They went through the ServiceNow Cloud and Platform Core workflow applications. I think the big update here was that the Gen AI models are now built in and they come natively. That's what they were highlighting the most. I didn't capture any other kind of major news here. So maybe we can move on then. Yeah, what comes to the releases, as said, two big releases every year, and what was interesting, of course, is the alphabets, right? So after Yokohama, they need to scroll back to letter A again.
There's still Zurich coming, but after Zurich, it's then back to A.
Yeah,
That's
true.
going to be actually not cities, but countries: Australia, Brazil, and so on.
Yeah. So I guess that was the biggest thing for ServiceNow itself, but I don't know. we just need to keep track of this.
Yes.
These releases. Yeah. They quite nicely captured the AI strategy. So as said, the AI models, they are built in, and they also introduced this kind of approach of bringing your own AI, bring your own AI, what is going to be AI or whatever the acronym will be then, but we'll see. Anyhow, if you have built your own AI model somewhere else, you can import or integrate it with ServiceNow, right? And obviously Now Assist supporting all the products, and then intelligent workflows, which is also related to the knowledge graph that you have mentioned earlier on. So that was the three main areas or the kind of building blocks of the AI strategy, and that was fairly clearly put. And yeah, a little bit more details how the Now Assist will support all of these kind of areas. It will be step by step, and it's going to be in every corner of the business, as they were having this mantra all the time, that bit by bit it will proceed to every product, right?
Yeah, expanding to all new products, but also, for example, with IT service management, expanding within it. So the latest announcement was that now GenAI can also create knowledge base articles. So if you have a bunch of incidents with resolution notes, you can ask Now Assist to create a knowledge base article out of the resolutions and then review and publish it.
Yeah. Yep. And then if we move on, then this is what was where the Microsoft came in. So they showed a live demo of how Copilot and Now Assist now worked seamlessly together. So the use case here was how, when you are requesting a new laptop and you can have the conversation in your Teams with Copilot, and then in the background Microsoft Copilot then talks talks with Now Assist, and from user's perspective, it's fairly simple that all you need to do is basically talk to your Teams, and Copilot and Now Assist will walk it through together in the background.
Even all the way to ordering the laptop and handling the approvals, and of course, like seeing on the screen, understanding what's your current laptop, are you eligible for a replacement at this moment?
Absolutely, and select it from different options and different screen sizes and whatnot. I guess we are expecting this in the third quarter of this year. That's what they said. Let's see. And then if you go on, then the same thing was presented from the ServiceNow angle, that if you are having a look at your incidents or whatever data, you can similarly create your graphs in ServiceNow and then ask Now Assist to create a PowerPoint presentation right away, and then it goes to the Copilot, who then does the trick, and you have the same thing as a PowerPoint instantly.
And if I can add here, this was one of the things that really was a highlight for me of all the different days. Maybe because I work a lot with PowerPoint, but I'm just like, wow, if ServiceNow can help me make those presentations. I thought that was really, really cool to see in the live demo they did.
And I can think of unlimited number of use cases for how Copilot and Now Assist could work together. I think it's really good direction where we are going. Like Satya Nadella and CJ Desai were highlighting that it needs to be human-centered. It shouldn't be that we have, in the future, tens of different AI assistants, and then we need to think, who do we talk to? But rather that we have this one that then actually knows who knows what, and can then hand over to the right AI assistant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they demoed also the situations where the AIs talk with third-party AIs as well. So that was the thing that was highlighted quite a lot. So, but then another cool demo was also this one from the picture into workflows and playbooks. So they were basically taking a photo of a flip chart that was brought on the stage, and then you upload the picture into ServiceNow, and then the Now Assist analyzes your picture and then turns it right away automatically into a workflow and even a playbook, and then you can of course continue adjusting it and modifying it once you have it. So yeah, something of course that we see, for example, with the latest ChatGPT upgrades as well. But so these things are now coming everywhere, I guess. But interesting to see how these work in practice and what are the concrete use cases. Yeah, and shortly about the knowledge graph, was Juha was mentioning that this is basically what they mean by it. So it will connect and show you nicely the relationship in when it comes to services, like in this picture. Then you can have the similar one from integration perspective and kind of like a little bit more technical stuff, and then from people aspect as well. So basically your organization as well, and who are the kind of key links that you are kind of connected to, and so on, and making this very easy to for the users and very visual and so on. I guess this is also the part where NVIDIA and ServiceNow are closing their and tightening their relationships and partnerships.
So yeah, what it actually looks like the new self-service experience.
Yeah. I guess the point here was that they even said it that last year they introduced Now Assist, and this year they introduced My Assist. So being your personal ServiceNow assistant, the use case was heavily related to HR and onboarding a new employee, where the My Assist now can help you on the way. So all the way from taking a picture of yourself and creating this kind of an avatar of yours, then setting up your onboarding processes and walking through that, and ordering your laptops and making sure that you have time to go to your next meeting and etc. So that's clearly an area where they are putting a lot of stakes right next.
And it's a good thing to build on the understanding ServiceNow already has with this knowledge graph about who you are, what you use, where you're based, what you are eligible to use, etc. So there's a lot of that data already, so it's totally doable in many environments to have very personalized experience for My Assist.
Absolutely.
What about the other highlights of day 2?
Yeah, and I wanted to share some highlights here about maybe someone who hasn't been at Knowledge and like me, and what sort of things goes on. It's not only what are the new things on the ServiceNow platform, but also it was a very inspiring session with what they call the Women in Tech keynotes. There were actually several different sessions on the theme of women in tech. The big one was with Viola Davis, and they had a very nice talk just highlighting and addressing top challenges facing women in the workplace, some really good discussions and networking opportunities, focusing on how we can empower women in the tech industry. And also they talked a little bit about how we can identify and mitigate burnout. And of course, Viola talked a bit about the book that she's written, but it was really inspiring. And I think it's nice to see from ServiceNow also that they want to, well, I have to say, of course, as a woman in IT and tech, we're always in a minority situation, but it was nice that they also give some space to these sort of topics. But then on a more technical thing, I went on a workplace service delivery roadmap session where they gave an example of how the Now Assist for employees might work. This will be coming second half of this year. I know some of our customers are using workplace service delivery, but the type of questions that you could ask the Now Assist would be, where can I find an available phone booth right now? Or my meeting room isn't working. Can you send someone to fix it? Can you find a desk for me near my team? So those sort of questions you could just ask. I think those are sort of questions that resonate with all of us on a daily basis if you come into the office. And now the Now Assist could help you answer those things, like where can I work today? So I thought that was interesting example to see how the Now Assist can come into use on the different products.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small maybe detail, but I was also seeing a presentation about how Now Assist now comes into this AI area, and small little detail maybe in the picture is the point number 5. I don't know how well you can see it, but it says that also they are bringing these aspects that when they want to block the Now Assist from actually being used. So especially in this kind of people HR area where you have easily sensible information and sensible topics. So then it's kind of also made possible that these are the areas where they don't want AI to kind of access your and while in many cases they especially want to be utilizing AI as much as possible, but then there are also these areas where they want to kind of block it because of the sensitivity, and I think that's nice progress.
And for me, regarding HR, I think one important highlight was the focus on deskless workers. So not always just the portal and everyone sitting at the desk all day, but also people who are there on the field or using mainly mobile, or even without mobile, having access to these services via voice. So making a phone call, getting virtual assistant with text-to-speech, speech-to-text to serve in some questions regarding the payroll or employment or anything else. So they have that already in tests, and hopefully soon we will get that support via voice for the virtual agent conversations. One highlight still from me is the focus on industries. So what was now announced at Knowledge is the manufacturing commercial operations. This is just an example for one industry, but ServiceNow really now goes big into the industry solutions in manufacturing, for example, providing the whole workflow from sales and order management, configuration, price quote, then connecting to the customer's environments with Service Bridge, handling possible disputes, product subscription services, and even the channel support for sales. So kind of doing the whole life cycle of manufacturing commercial operations. This is where they, for example, partner with Siemens. So it's not ServiceNow alone, but there's strong partnerships in how to support the different industries in their own use cases. But it's not all about content and sessions. It's also about having fun. So here's some pictures from Sofigate customer dinner we had at the top of the world, a restaurant with really nice views over Las Vegas. So it's of course a lot of great experiences and networking that is important also in these events.
Absolutely. So
okay. Any other highlights from day 2, or shall we move on to day 3? That's the final day of the event. And here we had kind of very two extremes, I would say. The morning started with a keynote around creativity and innovation and the human aspect. So we had on the technology and arts on the stage John Batiste and Dan Levy, a musician and a director, actor. And it was really interesting discussion on what is AI in contrast to humanity, and why humanity is still more valuable than AI. AI is still just a tool. And they talked about what is human creativity about, how that can actually create something that could never be predicted by AI, even not with Gen AI, and what's still more valuable in humanity compared to the AI as a tool. But of course, AI as a tool can help us be more human in the optimal scenario. So really interesting talk about very different aspect of technology and how that can make us more human in a way. But then the other extreme on day 3 deep dived into the developer capabilities. So alongside the main sessions at Knowledge, there's also CreatorCon. That's the conference for developers. And that's where we now got the first big demo about ServiceNow Studio. That's bringing all the developer capabilities together. And you might be a low-code developer, no-code developer, pro-code developer. It is kind of personalized for that skill level you work with, but it's one consistent developer experience where everything comes together. And of course, Now Assist is a big part of it. So when creating a new app, you can actually start with Now Assist describing what kind of an app would you like to have, maybe even ask for ideas from Now Assist, what could be good, kind of a user interface for ordering coffee from ServiceNow app, for example, and then ServiceNow will generate you the first draft. This is how it could look like. And you can continue the conversation with Now Assist. Hey, let's add one more option here. Let's add third option there, and so on. And it really becomes a conversational developer experience throughout the low-code, no-code development. But what happens in real life is then in the background, of course, ServiceNow generates the tables, generates the components, application files, and everything, access controls, etc., that you can then go further into and adjust to your needs. But this is how Now Assist can support the developers and keeping it all fully transparent, but making it really easy to get started with developing something new. And this is also important, that it's not just creating something new, but it's also able to guide to use the existing data and existing building blocks you might already have. Maybe you have an integration you can reuse here. Maybe you have already some data in ServiceNow that you could use to serve that new app. So it's also suggesting and guiding you to good practices, best practices in development.
If I can just add a fun fact, they actually had this app for real in the expo area. So I tried ordering coffee through a ServiceNow workflow, and the one guy, the barista, he had to go in and approve it, and then the machine made the coffee automatically. It was the slowest coffee I ever got, but it was a fun, nerdy thing.
Okay, so still some fine-tuning to do.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's not only for low code, no code. Now actually the flows can be also presented as code, and you can side by side take a look at visually how it looks like, but also handle that flow as code. And now ServiceNow also introduced developer sandboxes, which means you might have different developers working on the same team. They might have different branches of development, and then at some point you merge. So even the collaboration gets much better now. But the idea with the ServiceNow Studio is that whatever type of a developer you are, it's all in one studio, and you can seamlessly collaborate and develop in various different ways, obviously. Okay, that was the other keynote. So any other highlights from you from day 3 before I go into my last highlight?
Yeah, well, I think it was nice to see these kinds of human aspects in the smaller sessions as well. There were presentations about human-centered design, let's say, and kind of service design, and how to take the human aspect into consideration. So I think that was, I don't know, was it on purpose or by accident, but clearly there were a lot of these kinds of sessions in the day 3, which was nice. Something that I put here was a little bit, again, from a different angle maybe, but I found it interesting and kind of nice concrete way that there was one case at least where customer had paid quite a lot of attention and energy and effort on calculating the real monetary business value of generative AI. So around all the hype there is in the world, it was nice to see that very structured and kind of not even too rocket science approached into how to calculate what is really the value and payout from Gen AI. So that was interesting also, and some interesting part was to see this kind of merger and acquisition type of case. It was American kind of hospital chain, lot of mergers and these kinds of projects within a couple of years, and still they were able to kind of keep the service now at the center of the new entity. I guess their focus was in HR and employee experience heavily, and how to make that a seamless experience. Nice little use case. And then a small session about this clean core ERP story, which was kind of interesting as well, because we have a lot of customers as well who are struggling with how to replace legacy ERP solutions without making it too business risky and so on. So it was nice to see that ServiceNow also had their approach into this topic, so kind of cleaning the core of the ERP and then building the workflows and the intelligence on top of that core ERP core with the help of ServiceNow. Interesting.
I think it was also on the third day there was a AI keynote where there were members of ServiceNow's research teams on the stage, and they talked about more like long-term vision and what's coming. For example, simulation agents, which means that in the future with ServiceNow, you might want to know that what's the value of this specific feature of if I buy this Gen AI now for our IT processes, what does it actually mean with our volumes, with our data? So then you can set up simulation agents in your ServiceNow that actually simulate what it would do with your data, how your processes would be enhanced, and they actually do the simulation within your instance and then present what would be the change, how much efficiency, how much productivity could be gained with that kind of a change. It might be a new feature, or it could be a process change. What if we have this new process set up, how that would actually change our operations? So that's a very, very interesting direction where without yet implementing anything, you can simulate what would be the impact. Good. One more highlight from me is around AI, obviously, but a different aspect to it. That's the responsible AI. And now ServiceNow is working on AI workflows product. We don't know too much about it, but this is one picture of the slides they presented. So it would be looking at managing AI-related assets like the models, the data sets, prompts, libraries, etc., but also managing the risks and the controls, the compliance with regulations. We know that there's, for example, from EU AI-related regulation coming. So how do you ensure that you work with AI in a compliant way and manage those risks? And also, where do you see the investments? How do you manage the portfolio around AI initiatives and opportunities? So all that needs to be well governed and managed, and that's where ServiceNow has a strong focus on to manage AI in a responsible way in an enterprise. And something really important to know if you are considering using Now Assist is how it actually works, what data, how your data is being handled. So the idea there is that when using ServiceNow Gen AI capabilities, it's all based on your access controls, your data protection rules, etc. So it will not provide an answer or summarization of something that user should not have access to. And that's, of course, a big strength for having this built in, not bolted on, meaning that it's actually taking into account all your rules and controls that already exist. Then it's gathering that data, grounding it to the data model, and you can then have prompt templates. How do you actually summarize? How do you ask for a response to customer's email, for example? And you can administer this from an easy-to-use console, but you can also decide to mask some sensitive data. So maybe actually the name of the person or their social security ID is not really relevant here. Let's leave that out. We don't send that with the prompt. We keep that and then just bring it back when we get the response. And the data security is really important here. So even if that data then leaves your specific ServiceNow instance, it doesn't leave the data center. So it remains in ServiceNow data center. It goes to this GPU where the large language model is, and nothing stays there, but it just generates the response, brings it back and all the data is removed. So it's not getting mixed with other customers' data or shared to anyone else. It's secure data processing there with the LLM, and then you get the response back based on your original input. And this is really important to make sure that your data is never shared or used in wrong ways, or also that it's fully transparent how it's getting utilized. But I think that's a really smart model for building quick time to value with the Gen AI, but also keeping things secure and compliant.
We have one question, and I think this is probably something that a lot of people are wondering about. How many of these new AI features require more licenses for the client to purchase? And I have to say, I didn't hear anything about that, but no, Juha, I know you have the insights.
Yeah. This is not something we can tell in 10 minutes because it depends on what you have today. But in ITSM, for example, the Gen AI capabilities are part of Pro Plus license, and of course already the Pro license has a lot of AI. Even the standard license has, for example, AI search. So there's some AI already in all the licenses, but then when we get to these new Gen AI and Now Assist, then it's the Pro Plus license that brings them. That's maybe the short answer. But then there are, of course, details depending on which product we talk about. But it was funny, this NVIDIA founder, Jensen Huang, was on the stage, and ServiceNow was telling that, okay, your equipment, your GPUs, they are rather expensive. That the new one was maybe 6 times more expensive than the old one. And then this Jensen Huang stated, well, it's not just more expensive, it's 6 times better. Yeah. So it's actually 6 times cheaper, or something like that. And then he stated that, hey, it might look like this AI train is moving really fast, and you wonder that, okay, can we really invest in it? What should we actually do? And you're just standing there at the station and looking at the train move really fast. And then he said that, well, if you are on that train, it's much more manageable. Then it doesn't feel to move that fast. Then you are kind of able to stay in control. So with a lot of sessions, I think the main message was that now do not get left behind. And even if you cannot have all the details cleared out in your business case, it might be even more dangerous to get left behind and not learn, not get on that train at all. When the competition, anyway, already in the Nordics, we have customers using these Gen AI capabilities.
Yep.
Okay, good question. Any other questions you might still put? We have a few minutes.
Yeah, please put them in the Q&A or the chat if you guys have any more questions.
So of course, there was also an ending party and Pitbull concert to end the knowledge event. Also very interesting discussions, I think, with the customers after the event. Many of them had their roadmaps full of stuff, and now we go through how to prioritize, how to build that roadmap in a smart way. But these are events where you really get inspired and a lot of good ideas to bring back. And I think it also opens the eyes of those who consider ServiceNow as a point solution. For one thing, it really opens the eyes how widely it's being used by the largest 8,000 largest companies in the world. For example, how wide is the usage? And we had many of those on the stage telling how they started with one small thing, but how they have now seen the full value when expanding to many new workflows areas. And also then when you get more and more of those workflows and data to ServiceNow platform, how the AI brings then even more value, because it's based on all that intelligence and all that data that you build into the platform.
Yeah, and then maybe to add on that what we are now talking with mainly Nordic business managers and directors when it comes to AI, I think it was a little bit even funny to see that the same topics, they are on the stage like globally as well. So I was kind of even a little bit relieved to see that actually we are nowhere behind in the Nordics. All the others in the world, they are struggling with exactly the same issues. And what are the use cases for AI? How to prioritize? What can we do with? What is the licensings? Whatever. How to make the most of these big platforms, etc. So that's clearly where the world is now laying in the sense of AI. And but yeah, on the other hand, the solutions as well, or kind of how to move on, those answers were also pretty much in line with our thinking, right? So that start with the true business needs, create concrete use cases, prioritize them, don't try to eat the whole elephant in one bite, if you can say so, and put it into slices and so on, so that you can manage. And so in a sense, kind of going back to the basics, right, in digital development.
It is, and make good use of the platform because it has so much built in. So instead of months or years of AI studies and analysis and work, then why don't you get the first value out about right away, in weeks at least, and then start building on it. So a lot of this AI development actually should not be seen as a major project, but more like very fast deployments and then expanding to new use cases.
Yeah.
A practical question about the materials and the recording that will be shared with all the participants. So recording will be available, and thank you for joining. And any other questions you might have, you're welcome to contact us, and we'll be also able to deep dive on any of the presented topics, certainly with you. But thank you for joining, everyone, and have a great rest of the week.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.